It's time for a dramatic intro to a book tag video, because that's just where we're at in life. Let's do it. All right, so welcome to the end of the year book tag that apparently everybody and their mother and their sister and their cat and their dog are doing on BookTube these days. So I'm going to do it too. Why not? So this was actually created by a channel, Ariel Bissett, so that'll be linked down below. Looks like she actually does a lot of book stuff and also some like super cool DIY stuff. So awesome. I've never seen the channel, but I will now. Typically, the way that I approach tags, for those of you that are unaware that have not seen me do a tag, is I don't really prep answers for these. I usually read them as I'm going and then just kind of give my raw thoughts to the answer, or to the question. So sometimes I'm gonna probably not have an answer right away, and we'll see how it goes. So, are there any books that you started this year that you need to finish? Had I recorded this literally 2 days ago, The Dark That Dwells would have been my answer, because I'd been reading that since August. That's from Matt Digman and Ryan Roddy. It was a self-published sci-fi fantasy blend adventure, and yeah, I'm just gonna use that as my answer because I finally did just finish it yesterday. It was just one of those things that there were so many cool sci-fi aspects to it, and you know, reminding me of Mass Effect and Destiny and a lot of things that I love about sci-fi and fantasy. Lots of combat, lots of action, just really cool concepts, and just for some reason I couldn't get into it. So it took me nearly 3 months to read it because I just kept putting it down, and that honestly hasn't happened to me in a while. I was expecting to love it, and I know a lot of people that do, and it was kind of surprising that I couldn't really get attached to the characters, and it felt like there was a lot of action and a lot of things happening, but they felt like random battles rather than impactful events in the story. It felt like, all right, here's this POV, and they're fighting randos, and then here's this POV, and they got a random encounter. And that just kept happening. So for me, it just didn't really work. I just didn't get invested in the story or the characters. There are plenty of people that it did work for, and it might work for you. Other than that, I mean, there isn't really anything other than my current TBR for this month. Things that I've started, I obviously am going to finish this month and want to before the end of the year. So Clash of Kings I'm reading right now, and then I'm going to read The Night Watch and Abaddon's Gate, book 3 of The Expanse. So I will read those, and I've only started Clash of Kings, so Clash of Kings. Do I have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? So again, I kind of goofed on this question last year or whatever the similar tag was that I did last year, because I had never heard the term autumnal. So I guess it's just either it has fall themes or it takes place in fall. Who knows? Maybe there's some fall scenes in a Clash of Kings there's snow and cold weather in a Clash of Kings. We'll just say that, because I could not tell you, without sitting down and thinking through all of these books that I've read, what the hell took place in fall, what had fall themes or elements. I mean, there's falling leaves, I'm sure, in many fantasy stories. I'm sure there was some cold weather in Wheel of Time once or twice. Nothing I'm reading is based on it being in fall, so I couldn't tell you anything I don't even know what I'm reading in December, other than A Storm of Swords. I'm sure there's some fall shit in that book. Is there a new release that I'm still waiting for? No, actually, not until next year. So I'm just going to use my next year as the answer to this. So what is now going to be books 4 and 5 of Sun Eater. So Kingdoms of Death is book 4. I don't know if book 5 has a title yet, but again, that got split because of like a paper shortage. So then Rakio went back and added 80,000 words to Kingdoms of Death. And then I think he's also going to expand on that and then create book 5. So those would be my biggest new releases that I'm anticipating, but not this year, because I have no idea what's even coming out in the next month. Also, The Lotus of Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. So these big bad boy fantasy books right up here. We've got books 1 and 2. Book 3 should be sometime next year. So those and the Sun Eater books will be my anticipated new releases. But again, I'm kind of cheating on the question, because this is how I prepare for book tags. What are 3 books that I want to read before the end of the year? So that's a good question. I mean, again, I'm not just going to straight up cheat and use my current TBR, because that would be 3 books that I want to finish by the end of the year. The only book right now that I know for sure I'm reading in December is A Storm of Swords. So I'll use that as one of them. Honestly, other than that, though, it's like I'm going to get a Patreon pick for December. I would have said God Emperor of Dune, but after reading Dune Messiah and Children of Dune and being overall very lukewarm on them, I'm not sure how much I'm looking forward to reading God Emperor, other than the sheer aspect of it's getting pretty weird it's very different from Dune in an interesting but not good way. And I'll say God Emperor of Dune simply because of what happened at the conclusion of Children of Dune, and what I predicted was on the cover of God Emperor of Dune, just because it's so batshit insane. And if you read Dune, I would have never seen the series going in this direction. So sure, we'll say A Storm of Swords. We'll say God Emperor of Dune because I'll probably just read it in December and then decide if I'm going to keep reading these or not. I really don't love the sequels to Dune so far. Dune is a great, amazing standalone sci-fi tale, and the sequels, there's something. All right, so one more book. But see, again, like, I haven't decided what I'm reading for December yet, so I don't know. There's going to be a Patreon pick. I want to get back to some Joe Abercrombie and First Law stuff, so probably Best Served Cold if I end up going that route. Otherwise, I'm just going to start picking some other stuff because I'm not necessarily tied down to any series anymore. I kind of want to read some Discworld, perhaps just continue The Expanse and pick up, further books in that series. So if I had to pick a third book, what am I really itching to read? And I'm just looking at fantasy stuff because that's what's right in front of me. But it's probably going to be a sci-fi book. Let me take a sneak peek over here. You can still hear me. My mic's attached to me. Let's see. What do I want, ladies and gentlemen? Probably a Stephen King book. Yeah, we'll do that. Potentially a Stephen King book. This is the most riveting booktube content you'll ever see. I'm not even on camera anymore because I'm looking at my sci-fi shelves on the other side of the room. This is fascinating, I'm sure. So we'll just say a Stephen King book. Either a Stephen King book or Project Hail Mary. Because I'm going to start... I'll get to this in a second. I'll tell you why. Is there a book I still think could shock me and become my favorite book of the year? No, because A Song of Ice and Fire, as good as it is a reread. I'm not expecting anything from The Expanse or Night Watch or whatever else I decide to read in December to top Royal Assassin or Howling Dark or Demon in White. I've read too many fantastic books this year, and Royal Assassin and Howling Dark were fighting for the top spot, and then I read Demon in White, which topped them. So, it would have to be an absolutely astonishing book to top any of that. So, no. Demon in White, Christopher Rocchio, knocked it out of the park. It's not going to be top this year. And finally, have I already started making reading plans for next year? So, yes, because of the new releases, so more Durfee, more Rocchio, our A Song of Ice and Fire reread is continuing, obviously, through December. So, we've got A Storm of Swords in December, and then January, February, we've got Feast for Crows and Dance of Dragons. And then I believe we've decided to at least do Fire and Blood. This is we as in me, Leanna, and Jimmy. I think we're going to do A Night of the Seven Kingdoms at some point too. And then obviously Winds of Winter next year because it's going to come out. Stop it. Probably continue The Expanse because there's 9 books and I will have read 3 of them. So I'll probably keep going there. The big thing for 2021 though is I'm going to do a Dark Tower read through. So I'm going to do the entirety of Dark Tower. I am adding in some of the, additional books that they say to read as part of a reading order. I'm not going to do all of them. The good thing about Dark Tower reading orders, though, is most of the books that you're told to kind of read in tandem or in between books are Stephen King books that I want to read anyway. So like The Stand, Eyes of the Dragon. Some of these just sound cool on their own, so I'm going to get into them. And I've already read Salem's Lot, which I loved. I probably won't read all of them. I will mostly stick to the 8 Dark Tower books and then perhaps try, because I think the reading order I was going to follow was 17 books. And that's, I have to double up at least a couple of months next year. I'd have to double up on Stephen King books. So like a Dark Tower book and something else to get through them all. Maybe, we'll see. I'm potentially going to continue on with Robin Hobb and start Live Ship, which I did buy. It's right here. I don't know. I'm kind of open to anything right now. I'm caught up on Dresden. I'm caught up on, Stormlight and Wheel of Time's done. And yeah, who knows? Who knows where we will go? Probably a lot more sci-fi though, because they're shorter. A lot of them are more interesting in the sense that sci-fi is much more broad and a lot of fantasy tends to be samey in a way. But yeah, those are my thoughts. They're as scatterbrained as they are. I've got some of next year planned, but I'm definitely not somebody who plans super far ahead. As you can tell, I don't really know what I'm reading in December, except for maybe 1 or 2 books. So that is the tag. Again, original tag link is in the description below. And honestly, anybody, just feel free to do the tag. I'm not going to go down the list and tag a bunch of people. Everybody's tagged. If you want to do the tag, go ahead and do it. If you want to leave your answers in the comments down below, that would be super cool too. And or in Discord. I know not everybody comments here. A lot of people talk about it in Discord. So throw your answers in there. I'd love to hear your answers to these questions. And until next time.